And there we go. Hey, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Mixlife. We're going to be talking about Flavorah today. I'm here with Concrete and Chris DeVore.
Hey.
Because we have a unique approach to this in that I have a lot more experience with Flavorah than I do with any other complete line. Because they've been very forthcoming with making sure that we have everything we need. As mixers and involved. They've been really involved in the community a lot the last year. So there's a pretty strong chance that we are not going to finish all of Flavorah in one episode. So I'm pretty sure we're going to go into a two-part this time, but we're going to start with fruits here in a few minutes.
Yeah, if anybody needs any kind of disclaimer, we'll just go ahead and throw it out there. We have worked with Flavorah before, so take this for what it's worth. But we're going to talk about the flavors that we like anyway. So.
Yeah. They invited us all to Vegas, exactly. It's a good time.
Yeah, but they've been really involved in the community, so I don't want anybody to feel like I gave extra attention to Flavorah just because whatever, they touched me in a special place. But I've just worked with them a lot more this year than I have with a lot of other companies, so I'm more familiar, so I can be more in depth. But they didn't pay me any money or anything, unless Bryson, if you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying that we're above being directly bribed either. I mean, that could definitely happen. It just hasn't happened yet. So
a few things before we dig in real deep is that I've seen a lot of talk in the community recently and in the past, and ever since Flavorah has launched, about their price point versus community accessibility. And sometimes, the price can seem pretty crazy and maybe not worth it to you. But there is the flip side of that argument is that on average, Flavorah's flavors are way more potent than almost anything else out on the market. And it's very rare that you need to go over 1% or 1.5% with most of their flavorings. And the ones that are priced incredibly high are often so potent that you're using them well under 0.5% to get a full body flavor. So take that for what it's worth. Do your thing. If you don't support their price points, that's cool. I respect it, but otherwise, I'm not going to defend it either because I think it's pretty good.
Overall. Yeah, and I mean, I'll definitely make the argument too that even with the times that I'm taking stuff above that 1% level, where even the price to concentration ratio doesn't make a ton of sense, I'm getting a flavor that I can't get anywhere else, and for me, at least, that's worth it.
No, absolutely. There's definitely. My camera's whatever, because I adjusted it and now it's better.
Yeah, they definitely have better tools than.
Yeah, they're just all around good tools. Not every one of their flavors is just smash hit, fucking amazing, but they have a lot of really incredible flavors. So we can start with fruits. Fruits, yes. Rick is invisible. This is a disembodied hat and headphones that I've used to replace him.
Yeah, it's so bad. I'm like the non-union stand-in. There we go.
There you go. Exactly, Rusty. It's on average, it makes a lot more juice. So I mean, when you talk about the price points, it's really, in a lot of ways, a lot of times it's actually cheaper, especially when you look when you start to look at wholesale pricing for companies, right?
I was just going to say the really expensive stuff seems to be more value. It's just investing the $15 to $20 for one bottle in the beginning. But yeah, I haven't really looked into wholesale, so I'm sure you're right on that. But it gets even better.
Well, just picking one of their more outrageously priced flavors, I feel like most of the really expensive stuff from Flavorah actually really does live up to that concentration thing. Rich cinnamon costs $12.50, but if you need over 0.5% of it in any recipe you're working on, you're obviously deranged. You have something mentally wrong with you. That's the same thing with their $12.49 clove, their $12.49 coconut. They have a vanilla that costs $17.50, and I'm
so marvelous.
But it's actually kind of worth it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, an Alpine strawberry, it's $17.50, right? But for a 15 mil, but I mean, on average, you're using 0.25%. And if you're going up to 0.5%, you're probably overdoing it.
Yeah, but the one thing that I will say gets me is you occasionally run into the flavor blueberry muffin that tastes a lot better at 5%. than 1%. And even at $5.49 for 5% flavor, that's what kind of gets me. It isn't like the expensive flavors, really. It's just the odd one that needs more percentage that gets me.
I feel that way about their pineapple. Like, I really like their pineapple, but it's kind of on the weaker side, and you usually need to take it up to 3, 4, maybe even 5%. And I was gonna, definitely blueberry muffins in that range there too. But most stuff I don't need to take over 2%. So.
All right. So now that we've got all of our ass covering and disclaimers out of the way,
now we can do business.
Yeah, start in here.
All right. So. Yeah, exactly. All right. So first we can go with. Well, let's just get the elephant out of the room, right? So Alpine strawberry. It's it's a really good strawberry. It's one of the few that I can taste. It's insanely strong.
Yeah, it's difficult to work with. It's
so it can be a challenge to balance, because if you go over 0.25%, like, it's gonna get plasticky and weird and funky and start kind of washing out everything else in your recipe. It makes it hard to work with. So you have to start at like 0.05 or 0.1 and kind of work your way up gradually. So yeah, it's definitely not beginner friendly. A lot of Flavorah flavors are not beginner friendly, but Alpine strawberry is probably, aside from smooth vanilla, the least beginner friendly flavor that they carry. It's also one of their most popular. So,
have you ever tried Wild Strawberry by Inawera? It is not a good flavor, but Alpine Strawberry reminds me of Inawera's Wild Strawberry, but actually good.
Yeah, like, I can see where they were trying to go with Wild Strawberry, with like a little bit of the green stem and some like nice like fleshy bits, but Inawera failed in the execution. I feel like Flavorah succeeded. Because I really do get like a pretty authentic strawberry out of it. Not candied, not weird. It's pretty fucking authentic, right? Like a just barely overripe fresh strawberry.
I feel like it can go a little bit candied though, especially depending on what you pair it up against. Like, it's not necessarily my favorite strawberry taste, but I can taste it clearly. So that's also another like good mark in the whole, like, if you can't taste strawberry thing, promise you'll be able to taste Alpine strawberry.
Yeah, there's no way. I've never met anybody that couldn't taste strawberry in a recipe after they told me they couldn't taste strawberries if I used Alpine. It works every time. So for those of you that can't taste strawberries, it's the one, yeah?
And you probably don't have to go above a 0.5% with it. So it costs a lot, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is, man. It's pretty decent.
It's all good. It's all good. Next, we can do apple pop real quick. Yeah? I see it used a lot, but I haven't used it very much myself.
Yeah, I like apple pop. It's kind of an artificial red apple candy kind of flavor, but it has a little bit of skin to it. It is fairly punchy without being incredibly harsh, and I use it mostly to reinforce other apple flavors that I need some extra body to. I like it quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's where it works best. I don't know, on the nose, I get a little cider note from it. I used it recently in a cider recipe.
Just off of memory, it kind of reminds me of, those like apple sodas you can get at like the Hispanic markets?
Yeah, like the manzanitas and all that.
Yeah. Yarritos. Like, it kind of reminds me of those, like the apple, whatever apple they use in those, which I'm sure is like a red apple of some kind, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice, it's bright, it's punchy, and it really does. Like, it's a little bit hard to make work as a single apple, but it's really good if you want like an apple backup for a more interesting apple note. You can throw a smaller percentage of apple pop into it and really just like push that apple right to the forefront.
I absolutely agree. Next is banana.
I mean, I'm gonna go back to apples for a second.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. No. All right. I'm on like the fucking alphabetical view right here. So
they've got a whole line, Granny Smith, and
yeah. So my favorite apple, my favorite apple out of their apples is probably apple cider. Because
yeah, that shit's good.
It's spooky accurate too. Like, I don't know what was going on the first time I tested it, but like every time I've come back to it, it's a nice kind of boozy, like apple cider flavor. It doesn't, and it tastes like a hard cider as opposed to something like Hank's apple mix, which is like more spiced and all that. This is just basically a hard apple cider flavor. It's really, really good.
It reminds me of a less sweet version of Strongbow.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, you noticed any coil gunking with it? Hank's apple mix is really bad at gunking my coils. So
because of the cinnamaldehyde in it.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any particular coil gun for apple cider. It's kind of an amazing flavor.
There's no cinnamon vibe to Flavora's apple cider though at all. I don't get any cinnamon whatsoever from it. It's more like a sweet cider, right, as opposed to like a spiced holiday cider.
Yeah, and it just has some of like that almost kind of like brandy-esque fermented funk to it. It's really solid. Like it's a very specific kind of profile, but it absolutely nails it.
Rusty T, we can hit on peach gummy today for sure. Just if I skip it, remind me.
I also wanted to give a quick shout out to their apple. I need to do more screwing around with that one, but that's more of like
just the straight up apple.
Yeah, it's kind of like an apple juice flavor, like all those like Reds apples, whatever the hell that kind, like more in that line of apple.
I haven't messed with it very much.
It's good. Strangely enough, it's good with a little bit of apple pop behind it. So
nice. I mean, I like. I don't think that they did. I like what they did with all the apples. I don't dislike any of them. Like the Granny Smith and the green apple can be a little heavy on the peel, which is kind of nice if you're really pushing the fresh green apple kind of vibe. But they're still good flavors, I think, and they're better than like every other green apple on the market with TPAs or Capellas or everybody else's. Like it is candy green apple, right? Candy Granny Smith. It's a candy, like a hard candy, and it's the only like softer, like peel heavy, like apple note.
One of the apples that I kind of have wanted to love, but I have never actually loved was apple cranberry. It tastes really, really good. It really does. It's just one of those flavors that just ends up being ridiculously harsh for me.
Yeah, I noticed a fair bit of a throat hit from it. I'm not sure where it's not even. I don't even know if it's throat hit so much that it's like astringent. Right?
Yeah,
like they're both just so tart that it just washes out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to love it, but I got to use it really sparingly.
Yeah, I do like it though. And then sour apple, which I get less apple flavor, but a reasonable like kind of tart forward pear flesh kind of sensation out of it.
Yeah, and it's not like sour, like freaking sour candy sour or whatever. Like I still don't think that actually exists when you're talking about vaping, but it does have like a tartness, and it has enough. Like the apple's far enough back in the mix where you can actually mix it up against other fruits and not worry about the apple coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it does help stand up other apples really well. So I think it works really incredibly well as an accent to the other apples if you want more tart, fresh apple out of it. Am I missing any of the other apples? I don't think so.
Yeah, pretty much, except for apple filling, but we'll cover that in desserts.
Yeah, I don't really feel like it doesn't fit at all. That's just how my son sounds all the time, Rusty. Sorry. That's just what he does.
I was going to say something, but I knew it was a kid. So
it's all good. That's just my kid being my kid.
The children are being murdered with kindness and love.
Yeah, probably with Skittles or something. All right. We'll hit banana real quick. I don't have a lot to say about banana. It's a pretty solid, reasonable banana, but my biggest issue with it is that it fades pretty fast and it needs backup in order for it to like hang in a mix, right? Because it goes pretty creamy and then you just get like a real creamy vibe from it.
Yeah, it's weird for me because it's not like it's kind of runty. There's definitely like a little bit of a runt thing, but like I'm the weirdo that doesn't mind runty bananas, and so I like my bananas a lot more unsubtle.
Yeah, and I think it just played a little too much on the subtlety, and it causes it to disappear in the mix.
I mean, runty bananas are really what we've got. So
I mean, screw it. Like Flavor West banana, just straight runt.
Just do it. Yeah, no, does the fading problem, is it kind of like their tobaccos? Does it come back? Have you ever noticed that?
I don't think I kept a bottle around long enough to see if it came back like a month or two or anything like that. It's plausible. It's still a good banana and it works really great as a background note, but I've had a hard time making it stick as a main profile flavor. Yeah, low-ass banana cream is good. I love that stuff. All right, next. Oh, that was Rusty.
Okay. So if we're just going alphabetically, I think blackberry blossom. I don't know if it's a fruit. I don't know if it's a floral. It's really interesting.
It's definitely a floral, but there is a good blackberry note in it. But it's kind of overpowered by the honeybee floral sweetness. Because I get like that same kind of wildflower floral from Blackberry Blossom that I get from Honeybee. Like it's really similar to me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to be the right blackberry or the right honey or floral or whatever for every single situation, but it has a good dark berry note. That wildflower, like honey thing is really well integrated. For like the one recipe out of 1,000, that's exactly what you're looking for. It's executed almost perfectly.
Eileen says you're creamy. I just want to point that out.
I'm all sorts of creamy. That's fine. I'm creamy, moist.
Leave Rick alone.
Oh, don't. No, okay.
That's fine.
All right. So blood orange.
Oh, amazing. Perfect. Don't need another blood orange. That's the one.
I'm kind of torn. I think it's a really good flavor, but I don't get like a literal blood orange because when I think about blood oranges, I think of like closer to bordering on grapefruit, right? Most blood oranges taste closer to grapefruit than orange.
Yeah, like a Cara orange or whatever. Like it has like kind of a funkier, mustier, darker flavor to it.
Right, and a fair bit of tartness. Real fair, like real strong tartness to me. Blood orange is a really great orange flavor. I think it's fantastic. And it's like a darker orange, and it's sweet. It's really nice. It's not harsh like most oranges, but I definitely don't get the tartness out of it.
You don't need a lot either. It'll punch through.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. Under 1% is usually pretty good.
So, Chris, I know you're a big fan of it. Why do you prefer that blood orange to like Flavor West blood orange?
For when it
kind of exactly what Copel was saying. You know, it's darker, and it's hard because now there are two Chris's. So
that's okay. I'm Copel. You're Chris.
But yeah, it's darker. It doesn't require a lot. It sticks around. It blends well. I haven't come across a mix where I wanted to put it in there and I didn't enjoy it.
So just moving alphabetically, Boysenberry is another standout flavor. It doesn't really taste particularly authentic, but it does taste very blue
and really juicy.
Yeah,
like juice box juicy, right? Like I get like a heavy like candy, not candy, but sweet juice vibe off of it.
Yeah, it's kind of juicy juice-esque. It doesn't taste quite natural, but it definitely tastes juicy and bright and sweet.
Yeah, I think it's excellent. It's one of my favorites of their fruits. When I was actually writing a list before we decided to just go for this version, Boysenberry was my first on the list because it's really incredible. And like as a blending agent, right? Like you can use it in like you would cactus or pear, but for darker fruits and stuff. Like
do you guys get any texture from it? I get the inside of a Skittles texture out of it. It's almost, it doesn't quite have the graininess, but like you were saying, the juicy, like what it reminds me of is the inside of the Skittles, the candied inside.
If you push it up a little higher, you can get kind of almost jam out of it, right? Or preserves.
Yeah, it does get a little bit sticky at higher percentages.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely get that. I don't know about candy specifically, but I definitely get like a bit more jamminess out of it, like the 1.5% range.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if 1.5 is a lot, I probably blew it out of the water when I first tested it.
I think their Boysenberry, like we're going to be talking about a lot of flavors that we like for specific profiles and all that. I think their Boysenberry actually rises to the level of like, you should probably just buy it to have it.
Yeah, like you should just have it. Like.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the you should just have it once. It's really, really fun to play around with.
All right, what is next?
We got Cantaloupe. Their Cantaloupe's fantastic.
I think it's a really great Cantaloupe. If you're after a Cantaloupe profile, I think it's way better than Capella's. TPA's is reasonable, but I still think Flavorah is a stronger offering. It's really authentic. I get like a very faint hint of melon rind out of it.
Yeah, it has like a little bit of almost like a savory kind of thing that really does kind of do the cantaloupe thing very well.
I think it's fantastic. It's great. I think it's an amazing cantaloupe.
That one's have the creamy finish that wild melon has?
No, I don't think so. I don't really feel like wild melon has a creamy finish either. But.
I feel like cantaloupe is really easy to make creamy though. I don't know if it goes creamy by itself, but it's really easy to turn it creamy with like any kind of like even like another creamy fruit. Like it does have like kind of like that smoother, like kind of mushy back end to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one I haven't gotten into. I had to test it by nose today, and I was like, oh, it smells like it's got a really good finish, like the wild melon.
Yeah, I love their wild melon. We'll get to that one. That's like one of my top 5 flavors of all time. Do we just want to do all the cherimoyas? Have you tried all 3 of them?
Yeah, I've tried all of them. I think out of all of them, I like soursop the most, but that's specifically because it's a little bit less sweet and a little bit funkier. And I mean, I'm into that.
No, I agree. I use guanabana more often because I think it's easier to build around than soursop is, but I like the flavor of soursop. I think it edges out because I mean all three are similar enough that they're kind of interchangeable, but like cherimoya is a little sweeter. Guanabana's got a little bit more of like a banana vibe to the background.
Yeah, like a creamy banana kind of thing. I think the guanabana, if you're going to pick one and you're not like jumped into custard apple flavorings, I'd probably say get the guanabana, but my favorite's soursop.
Yeah, and soursop definitely has a little bit more of that like musky. Yeah, I do what I want. But soursop definitely has a bit more like musky tart funk at the top end of it that I really do. I super dig it.
Yeah, it's harder to mix with, but I enjoy it as a single flavor a lot more, which I guess means for whatever that's worth.
For sure. Did you lose your mustache as part of the government shutdown?
Yeah, the Bureau of Mustache Management went through some pay cuts. They haven't been able to trim it, so it just fell out from neglect.
Rip. All right. So coconut.
It's a national treasure, and they came and took it back.
We'll skip up to coconut because the other two don't. I don't agree with them. Yeah. So we're gonna do the coconuts.
Yeah.
Coconut. Both of them amazing.
They're straight up just coconut. I think is like a really reasonable, like just straightforward approach to coconut. I get a little bit of like flakiness, like flaked coconut out of it. But it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So they're normal coconut, like the $12.49 coconut. It's another one that's an expensive flavor. I think it's worth it. It's nice. It's rich. It's like legitimately buttery. It's a very heavy kind of like dessert, sort of dry coconut flavor, but with just like that crazy heavy mouthfeel to it.
Right. Whereas sweet coconut is like way creamier.
I feel like coconut is the key to density if you're looking to make even just one drop, you can hide it behind everything and you still get a denser flavor with FLV coconut.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, it's really strong, right? Like I usually start at like 0.25% and work my way up. You can push it higher and it doesn't go weird though. You push it up to like 1.5%. It's really strong and kind of a bully. Like Samson and Delilah.
Yeah, sometimes I just use it like an additive, but I love it, and especially mixed with sweet coconut.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the magic combo right there.
I'm not really a big coconut guy, though, to be honest with you. Like, even though I just released a coconut recipe.
I mean, I think you can pretty much do anything you need to do with coconuts using those two coconuts. I do like sweet coconut too, but it's definitely more of like a coconut cream kind of flavor. Yeah. Like, again, that coconut, it's an expensive flavor, but when you need that dry, rich coconut, it's literally the best option. You don't need to use a lot of it.
And when it comes to terms of authenticity, I think it's the most authentic coconut on the market.
Like, you can even taste not just coconut flake, but it feels like you taste a little husk in there, too. It's a husky flavor.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
You know what's husky is Inawera's coconut. It's like you're eating the hair off the coconut before you get to the actual fruit.
Yeah, but you have to eat the hair through the hand lotion, and it's just not okay.
See, is there a toasted coconut FLV?
No.
They done that yet?
No, they just got the two.
I don't think I can answer that for you, Mr. Hatchet Man. I have no idea because I don't know your recipe, but it sounds like maybe you're using some sweetener heavy stuff.
I mean, maybe just change your cotton more often if it's worth it.
If the flavor's super good, yeah, just fucking rebuild your shit more often. Like if it's on point, don't fuck with it because I mean.
And if you're not
Or
using an
vape at
RDA,
250 watts, and it'll just burn right off.
There you go.
you just gotta suffer through, man. If we all got those recipes that are absolutely worth destroying cotton.
Yeah. Hanks and apple mix. Thank you.
Has a man? Maybe. I mean. Yeah. Okay. I mean. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say without seeing the recipe and taking like a large chunk of the show out to go through it and figure out where the problem is. Because I mean, it's a hard question to answer without knowing all the factors. So moving on. Cranberry. What do you think about that cranberry? I really like the cranberry, but I get like a fair bit of plasticky-ness out of it. Like somewhere between fresh cranberry and canned cranberry with like a weird candy thing on top.
Yeah, it's an interesting flavor. It also gets a little bit warm too.
Yeah.
If you crank it up too high, it works really well as an accent cranberry for like a cranberry juice kind of accent as long as you keep it low. When you start to crank it up by itself, it does some sort of interesting things, and I like those interesting things. But in general, if you just want to taste like a cranberry juice kind of thing, you got to keep it low.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you want to go next?
Let us talk about fig/sweet fig. I have no idea why fig and sweet fig are two separate flavors. They taste essentially identical to me.
I can't tell much of a
don't.
difference.
No,
I think they're really
Really?
similar. Like they're ultra
I
similar.
get a super musty note off of the sweet fig that I didn't get off of the fig. I don't know that there's much difference outside of the musty. The fig was
Yeah,
a
see,
little...
I get that. I get the mega.
Yeah,
musty.
how do you not think that their normal fig is musty?
It's
It's
ultra
musty. Yeah, it's super musty.
Less
it's all
musty.
must.
Less,
Yeah, no,
musty.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you got like an old batch or something. I don't
That's
know, but
possible.
but yeah, they're definitely both super musty to me, like mega ultra musty.
Yeah, so like it makes it kind of hard to work with in a lot of applications, but it's another one of those things that like if you want a dark fruit kind of musty note for certain tobaccos and stuff, or for anything like really super dark, it's useful. It's also really interesting paired up against really bright fruits. Like that recipe that I took to Vegas that theoretically Chefs is selling at some point uses like 0.15% Flavorah figs set up against a whole bunch of like really intense bright flavors, and it does like some interesting work filling out like thinner fruit flavors too, which is really cool.
Was that the Boy Scout camp one that you released?
Oh, that was.
I tasted it, but
yeah, that was Giant Swan. I managed to put Flavorah fig in a Pixie Sticks and Champagne recipe because I like what it does.
All right, I like it though. I think it's a good fig. It kind of reminds me of smelling a fresh cigarette though. Like I get a tobacco-y vibe out of their fig.
Yeah, it's prime. Like, unless you want to get super weird with it, its primary purpose is pairing. I would think is pairing with tobaccos and stuff like that. But it's also ridiculously concentrated, so you will literally only ever need one bottle of fig.
Yeah, it's really, really strong. Real quick, just because I don't think it's accurate to its name, but I really like this flavor: ginger peach.
Cream soda, bruh.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It tastes like cream soda to me. Like
mix
it tastes
it with
exactly
eggnog and thank me later.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. I never thought of that.
Couple stealing that right now.
I showed a recipe to Adam, and he called it, what was it? Complete Fuckery. I almost released it named Complete Fuckery, but Scott would have yelled at me. So
I don't know, probably not. But anyways, I think it's a really good flavor. But it definitely, I get I don't really get any peach or ginger specifically out of it. But I get like a pretty legit cream soda from it. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's cream soda and ginger. I get a little ginger, not a lot.
Yeah. Grape.
Grape Kool-Aid. I mean, it's
grape Kool-Aid. Like, I don't think you can make it into a realistic grape flavor, but just enjoy what it is, which is grape Kool-Aid.
Oh, sure. I think it's super awesome grape. It's my favorite grape besides the one we don't talk about. Grape soda is my favorite. So Flavor West grape soda is glorious. in all of its sucrose cancer-giving goodness.
Let's see. I kind of want to. There's a couple flavors here that I don't really get per se, but I know that you're a fan of. One of them's jackfruit.
Yeah, I like. So their jackfruit, I really like. It's actually kind of similar to TPA's jackfruit, but with a more heavy like banana back end to it.
Does it taste like bready at all to you?
Yeah,
like it's legitimately savory. Like it has a really interesting like kind of fruit note to it, but it tastes like actual bread on the back end, which is apparently accurate to jackfruit, but it's a little weird.
It's got an interesting texture, and I think I love it the most because of how it pairs with hops, with Yakima hops. It's like fucking incredible together. They're incredible. They're amazing. Like magical.
Throw some vanilla swirl in there, you got yourself a banger.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, jackfruit's a weird fruit, right? Like it's like half apple, half banana, half what the fuck, right?
And they like sell it as a vegan meat substitute. So yeah, it's a weird fruit.
It's a weird fruit.
Does it work like an additive, like the Flavor West jackfruit? You like bend flavors around with it, or is it?
I mean, you could. It's pretty potent though, so I mean, it would require a little more patience and probably a lot more trial and error than usual, like you would need with TPA jackfruit. But I think it's good. It's got a nice creamy back end, a bit more of a banana vibe than TPA's version of jackfruit. I think it's good. I really like it. It's fun.
Yeah, TPA's jackfruit tastes like juicy fruit gum. Their Flavorah's jackfruit is a mystery.
It's a mystery. Well, I mean, until you actually eat jackfruit, I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, no, it's accurate. I'm never sure that that's a good thing.
So like dragon fruit, one of those things you're like, can you even taste this when you eat it? Is this a flavor? My tongue broke.
Okay, so Flavorah, what's the next good one? Lemon tea?
Yeah, we can do lemon tea. I think it's a really good tea. It's got a great black tea back note, and the lemon in it is pretty stellar, and it doesn't fade too much. You cannot separate the two. You cannot cover one up and not cover up the other, though. Like, I've never been able to do it. I tried a few times because I really like the tannic back note of tea they have in it. And it was their first tea release. It came out in one of their first releases, I think. When the August 8th deadline thing came out, the first time they dropped that big round, it came with that. I'm pretty sure. I might be having my history off. But I think it's a really stellar flavor. It's a really good lemon tea. It's not too sweet, and it's really easy to build around as long as you're cool with lemon being in your tea, because you cannot get rid of it.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to bend the lemon out. It's a very singular flavor. I think you'll always be able to tell it's in there, but for what it's worth, it's delicious.
Yeah, I think it's really excellent. I've had some pretty successful recipes with it. I think it's really fun. Actually, like the next three are actually pretty good. But we don't have to cover both of them limes. We can do lemonade next.
Yeah.
I get like a pretty sweet, like almost candy lemon head out of it. I don't get as much lemonade. It's really sweet. It's a great lemon. It doesn't fade badly. But if I had to make the comparison, I think it's pretty close to Loran's lemonade, but way more potent.
Yeah, it's pretty interchangeable with Loran's lemonade, but
I feel like you can almost swap them out one for one. You'll get I get a little more tartness out of Flavorah's lemonade than I do from Loran, because Loran's is like ultra sweet. But overall, I think that Flavorah's lemonade is, they're pretty.
So it has a little bit of a country time kind of powdered lemonade vibe to it.
Well, I don't get powder specifically, but I get a little more tartness out of it. It's like somewhere between Loran's and Flavor West's, but closer to Loran's, if that makes more sense. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
All right, we'll call it that. Good.
Sense
Lime and lime wedge. We can just do lime, really. I don't use lime wedge for anything. It's not a bad flavor. I just haven't found a place for it yet.
Lime wedge is absolutely fantastic for 6 hours. That's my big problem with lime wedge.
It fades really fast, and I just haven't found a home for it.
Yeah,
either it fades or I get olfactory fatigue from it. I'm not sure, but
their lime though, yeah, that's a really, really good candied lime, and it is an absolute bulldozer. And it fades a little bit, but not all that much. And like, even when it fades back, it's still a very strong lime flavor.
I get like a legit Jello vibe from their lime. like lime green Jello.
It tastes very green. It's a neon green, like candied artificial lime flavor, and it's delicious. And it will peel the paint off your walls when you vape it.
It's true. Their lychee is good, but it's a nightmare to work with, and I don't think I've dialed it in well enough in enough recipes to really talk enough about it with authority. Have you used it very much?
Their lychee?
Yeah. Or lychee, or how are you supposed to say it?
I don't think I've ever made a good recipe with their lychee. I have made recipes that are really interesting. It's just, it continues to elude me how you'd actually use it, because like it almost has like a gasoline fume perfume thing going on, but way more pleasant than that seems.
Yeah, it's really not a bad flavor. I mean, real lychee is a weird flavor to begin with, and I think it's fairly accurate, but it's hard to place. Much harder to place than, say, Capella's sweet lychee, which is much more candied. And next is Dave's favorite, and probably my favorite mango too, actually. Flavorah mango. Yeah, it's good. I really like it. Like, it's pretty authentic mango. It doesn't get too green, too much peel, or too much pine that I get from almost every other mango on the market.
Tiny bit of must, but that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to get a bit of muskiness from it. Like, that's normal, right? Mangoes are musky flavors.
Yeah, I really like this one, but I feel like this is kind of a polarizing mango. I think mangoes in general are super polarizing. Like, some people complain it's thin. Some people say, no, it's not thin. There's no top end. I don't really get much top end. Like, it's a deep, juicy flavor for me. And
it's heavy. I don't get very much top end from it either.
And it's kind of the bane of my wallet, because real talk, I can use way more of that stuff than anybody probably should in a recipe and still like it. So I wish it was more potent or less expensive, I will say that, but for my money, it is still probably the best single mango flavor.
For sure.
We should all say something different just to make Dave mad.
No, I mean, none of us have anything really terrible to say about it, other than there aren't better mangoes, I don't think.
I mean, there aren't better mangoes if you don't like that kind of green pine note that mangoes can pick up. There's like a couple of fully fleshed out mangoes that have more of a pine note that are also pretty good, but like this is the one that doesn't have the pine note, which kind of makes it win.
For sure. All right, where do we go?
Their nectarine is actually I wasn't thinking about nectarine. I was thinking about mandarin or tangerine. Never mind. I don't like their nectarine all that much.
It was all right. It's not a bad nectarine. Peach gummy. Somebody asked about peach gummy, so we can cover that real quick. I don't have a ton of experience with it. I get it's a pretty fair representation of peach rings. But I have a sneaking suspicion that there's some linalool going on in there. So it's a little harsh for me.
It's their peach but candied flavor. I really like their peach rings. It's good.
I love their peach. I love their regular peach. But the peach gummy, I get a bit of harshness out of. And I'm not sure where it's coming from.
I guess I could see it, but I guess I don't have much of a linalool sensitivity, because I kind of like it. Honestly, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do with it beyond just, hey, here's a single flavor at 3-4%, but it's really good.
I feel like you could probably spend some time building a better candy body and adding a little more peach if you want a big, more rounded whatever, but I think it's pretty good standalone.
Yeah, it pretty much does the job.
Their peach is probably my favorite peach. Aside from amazing. FA's white peach, I think it's a pretty good peach. But I get really more of a syrupy, bordering on canned peach kind of flavor from it. It's
so good you can make your least favorite peach good with FLV peach.
It's true. It's a better building block for sure. Let's cut ahead to, because we're already at 40 minutes in. So let's go pink guava. Do you want to sing the praise first?
Pink guava. It has a top kind of citrus peely. On top, it tastes a little bit like a grapefruit. It has kind of those piney, interesting citrus notes, which I think is what really gets called out for pink guava. But there is actually kind of a sweet tropical body underneath. It's a little sweaty, a little musky, but it's a wonderful, glorious thing that I love ever so much.
It's really fantastic. And you can kind of bury that top note if you want to. I don't know why you would ever want to, because I think it goes well in everything. And I get, if I push it up into like, I know that I use it way higher than is probably natural for most other mixers. But I mean, I push it up to 3-4% sometimes, and you can get a fair amount of like almost booze or cider out of the top end of it. Maybe it's just the citrus like top end playing tricks on me, but I get a bit of booziness out of it, which I really enjoy. I think it's fantastic and magical, and you should buy it, and you should rub it on yourself. And that's it. All right, so tangerine.
Yeah, I like it. I need to mess around with it a little bit more. I did a whole bunch of cross testing, and it was good, but it was maybe a little bit brighter, and it ran a little bit harsher. But it's a really good flavor, so I need to figure out more to do with it. Honestly,
I think it's a really good orange-ish, right? It's a good tangerine. It's accurate. It's not. I wish it had a little more pulp or pith to it, right? But I think that's my only beef with it. Otherwise, and I think it's super good. It's sweet. It doesn't separate. It doesn't get fucky if you push it up higher.
yeah, it doesn't like. I know everybody's on that FA Mandarin train, but that always kind of strikes me as waxy and warm, and so I like Flavor West Natural Tangerine, and I like Flavorah's Tangerine. Flavor West Natural Tangerine is good, but it's a little bit more zest heavy. It's a little bit lighter, and it fades a little bit more. The Flavorah Tangerine will still fade on you a little bit, but it sticks around fairly well, and it's a little bit of a fuller flavor.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so the tropical citrus, tropical punch. I haven't used the tropical citrus very much. That came out later, but I really like the tropical punch. I think it's another one of those that's on the weaker end of the scale. You really need to push it up to 4 or 5% to actually get anything out of it. But it's a good like kind of like Mike's Red Hawaiian punch kind of vibe to it. It needs maybe a little more dressing up sometimes, but I think it's a pretty accurate representation of punch. Straightforward, I think standalone, it's probably the best like punch, like fruit punch flavor there is. It's not medicinal or nasty.
Which one are we talking about? Hawaiian?
Tropical punch.
Tropical punch?
Yeah, but it reminds me a lot of like old school Hawaiian punch.
A little grenadine or something, and you can get it to that full flavored Hawaiian punch round.
Yeah, if every grenadine on the market didn't suck balls, then yeah, that would be good. But maybe some TPA pomegranate, like deluxe or something like that, would probably do a pretty good job. Yeah. Watermelon. I really like it. It's a fine watermelon. It's a bit more on the natural, not candy side, but I think it's a good watermelon overall. I don't have any beef with it, but at the same time, like, I mean, it's watermelon, right?
Yeah, and it's a little bit, I guess, more aggressive than Red Summer, the flavor of watermelon, while still being fairly realistic. It's a good choice for like a watermelon that isn't just straight candy that will still kind of stick around a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one on the list is wild melon. So I get, the thing I like about wild melon is that it's like a pretty good like melon blend with a bit of rind at the end of it. It's really, really bright. It's pretty strong, really strong, right? So 1.5% is more than enough in an aggressive mix, and it'll still stand out on top.
Yeah, it feels a little bit on the candied sort of artificial side, but not in a bad way. It's a really interesting, just like straight ahead, balls to the wall, like melon mix flavor executed really, really well.
I've fell in love with this flavor over the holidays. If you guys didn't notice, because it was in everything I released for like 2 weeks there.
Yeah.
The melon milk is just amazing. Oh, I can't get enough of that with the little bit of cinnamon, the vanilla swirl. I don't know if you guys were brave enough to try it, but you should.
I haven't had I've been in the middle of working on contracts, so I haven't been able to mix like community stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to throw in really quick red raspberry as like an honorable mention because it's not a great standalone raspberry flavor, but it does add a lot of realism to berries. It's worth picking up if you're big into realistic berries.
You know, the thing, actually, I had that on my original list, and now I feel silly for forgetting it, because the thing I love the most about red raspberry is that you can taste real fucking seeds in it. Like I get like a legit actual like raspberry seed from it, like you would get from jam almost.
Yeah.
Like it's not a jammy flavor, but that seed, like that raspberry, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Well, it's a super interesting like berry additive, and I haven't really found that anywhere else. So it definitely has a place in my mixes when I need that specific thing.
So I have a few more that we can talk about because we only have like 15 minutes, so we'll just finish up fruits for today, and then we'll do desserts, tobaccos, and additives next we've only got 15 minutes. So I got a couple of fruits to go over from the new releases that we can just hit those, and then probably just wrap it up a little early if we don't stretch it out enough. So I'm grabbing them here real quick, so just so I have them in front of me. I know, Ricky, have you been through most of the fruits now? Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was just saying suggestive things to Alfred putting in chat.
Okay. That's normal.
Yeah, it's all good. No, I think I have been through all the fruits I sent out this batch.
Okay. I know, Chris, you're still in the process of receiving yours.
Yeah.
So,
Shipping problems.
Right. We got you. I don't know if
Sorry,
I have
Bryson.
RF black raspberry yet, Jarvis, but I will. Actually, I've been looking at it because I've been trying to build something in that general range that I'm having trouble with. So I'm probably going to order it this week anyways.
So I guess my standout out of this batch is probably the new stuff coming out. Their honeydew in terms of fruits. Pretty solid.
I'm in love with it because like honeydew was always one of my favorite fruits growing up. And I feel like it's a really rock solid offering. The flavor itself like kind of lands somewhere in between like TPA's honeydew in depth of flavor, but without the horrifying potency problems and awkward astringency and the serious bullying that it does. And closer to Capella's or somewhere like kind of faintly like Capella's, but better. Right, like it's just a really good, accurate honeydew flavor. So far, I pushed it up to 2.5%, and it didn't get weird on me. But it was really full-bodied at 2.5%, like really, really full, like almost too much. And that was single-flavored, so in a recipe, I feel like probably 1 to 1.5% is going to be where you want to fall on it. I know it's not quite released yet. It'll be out, I'm told, early to mid-February, so in a couple of weeks.
We were talking about it a little bit before the show, actually, and talking about, like, it seems like the missing link between Capella's honeydew, which is a little flatter, a little sweeter, a little bit less interesting, and, like, the super aggressive, almost soapy, grassy TPA honeydew. It seems like it's going to be a good tool moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward, I think it's going to be the best honeydew offering. I mean, I already feel like it's the best honeydew offering on the market, or that will soon be on the market. It's wonderful. It's really well balanced. It's really good. I don't know where it's going to come out on the price range, but I mean, if it's in line with the rest of their flavors of that potency, I feel like it'll be a $5.49 or $7.49 at the most. I mean, if I had to guess, I can't speak for what they're going to do with it, but it's excellent. Really, really good. Next is the Melon Rind, right? Which I don't
tastes
get a lot
like TPA cucumber, but less like a popsicle stick. It's
a less chemically version. It's definitely cucumber, right? Like I get like a serious cucumber vibe. But if you keep it under 0.5%, it really does actually do a really good job of hitting that rind note that you might want to add to like a melon, or to dress up a cucumber to make it stronger, or to push your cactus a little less aloe and a little more like the fruit of the meat of the cactus kind of vibe.
Is it weird that I now want a pickled watermelon rind vape?
Oh,
Yes.
That's doable.
Dave's rubbing off on you.
I know, seriously, it's freaking January, and I'm like, oh, that sounds delicious. 20% distilled white vinegar, just fucking.
I gotta step off for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, so if we're talking about new fruits coming out, because that's apparently what we're doing now, they have a pink fruit flavor coming out that I know that Koppel enjoys quite a bit. It was originally based on Vimto. I do get like a good amount of, I guess, red currant out of it, like whereas Flavor Art's black currant sort of doesn't taste much like an actual black currant. It has that sort of like same kind of artificial currant type of flavor. There's supposed to be some raspberry and some grape around the edges, but mostly it's just like a big, bright, interesting fruit flavor. Some people are saying it tastes like pink Starburst. I don't really get that.
Where did you actually get black currants from?
Where do I get black currants from?
Yeah, like in real life. I've never had a currant ever. I base off of, I know it's in wine. I can taste, I know what it tastes like.
Most of my experience with actual black currants are probably just creme de cassis. Like, it's not something I've really grown a lot of, but apparently, like, the real black currants are kind of tart and they taste like chicken soup. So,
yeah, they're
really
tart. I think that Flavorah's black currant is like a really good happy medium between FA's really candied black currant and Inawera's really sour black currant. I still really love FA's black currant, but it's really candied, really super duper candy. And while FLV's black currant is really sweet still, it's not nearly as sweet as FA's.
But it's a little bit more realistic than FA's, right?
Yeah, I get a little more authenticity out of it than I did out of it.
You guys pick up any currant in their, berry blend?
I actually had a really hard time with their berry blend, like picking out different stuff. Like, it was just kind of, everything was almost too well blended so that I couldn't pick out any individual berries. It's just like a dark fruit. Like, where harvest berry and forest fruit, like, I can pick out individual fruits used in it. Like, Flavorah's berry blend came out across as really muddy to me.
Yeah, I got raspberry, blueberry. I think there's a strawberry vibe in there, and then currant. Well, that was off a back of the hand case that I did today because I was trying to be ready for this show.
Yeah, when you vape it, it just comes across as muddy to me. I don't know if you feel differently, Rick.
It's kind of one of those things, like, it tasted a little bit more like berry, like mixed berry flavor than like a blend of actual berries, which...
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not like a blend of individual berries. It's just like a mixed berry. I couldn't pick any one fruit. It's not a bad flavor at all. It's just harder to place, I guess, and like find a spot for it.
I mean, I'm also dumb too, so maybe there is like a lot of flavor science that goes into it. But yeah, it just kind of reminded me of mixed berries.
Yeah, like a mixed berry candy or something like that. You take a handful of mixed berry Skittles and put them all in your mouth at once.
And it wasn't as tart as forest fruit, and it wasn't as like delightfully bizarre as harvest berry. So I kind of I tested that one and then just spaced it. I haven't worked with that one anymore.
Oh. All right.
So any other fruits coming out here that are interesting? I think that's about it. I talked a little bit about pink fruit, but you like that quite a bit more than I do.
I love the shit out of it, right? But it's kind of like another one of those weird, like, generic, non-actual fruits, right? So it doesn't taste like any specific kind of fruit. So I don't know if you ever already covered the Vimto thing.
Yeah.
So it was modeled after Vimto, and I don't know how many of our viewers are from the UK, but that are on right now. But I feel like we kind of got close to it, but and Vimto's like a really weird, like, tart pink fruit soda, right? Like fruit punch-ish.
Yeah, it's got a medicinal herbal kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, the Vimto does.
Yeah.
The medicinal part is missing, obviously, from this, and it's just the fruit element. But I think it's pretty accurate representation of like a pink drink, right? So, like, not like pink lemonade specifically, but I get a bit of a kind of beverage vibe from it, as opposed to like a candy sweetness or a authentic fruit sweetness, and it's really just more. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got that beverage level of sweetness to it, like a cold drink out of the cooler at the grocery store. You know?
It's tasty. It's tasty. It just isn't really. Again, it's one of those things that just tastes like a cohesive flavor, and so it's going to be a little bit harder to like pick apart the individual parts of it. But it's definitely tasty. Yeah,
definitely. It's really good. I love this stuff. I've used it. I'm already trying to move on some commercial recipes with it. Jarvis, I think you're probably accurate. Yeah, a little more cherry, and then like dandelion and burdock to hit that weird herbal background. And I think it would probably get there pretty quick.
That's bound to be a new banger that nobody ever mixes. I love it. Let's do that.
I'm gonna do it. Nobody will buy
The first round of chefs, I was trying to recreate. I want to say Vitmo, but I know that's not how it's pronounced. Vimto, yeah, Vimto.
Pink fruit's
mispronouncing it for so long, But yeah, failed horribly. But I did a lot of research on what it was.
Yeah. It's really good stuff. I really like it. It's weird as fuck, but it's good.
I mean, next time I pop down to the local halal market, I know they sell it down there. I'm gonna have to grab a bottle of it because I haven't tried it in real life for a long ass time. So
careful. It's got like the herbal background, really similar to Moxie.
Yeah, no, dude. Like I can only get so hard. That sounds awesome. So
it's super close to Moxie, like old school Moxie.
Fucking really Moxie, my dude.
They temporarily closed the ice cream shop next to my house, which was the first place I've seen carrying Moxie in an actual cooler. Like in my life, probably. Well, at least in my adulthood. When I was a kid, it was around, but I haven't seen it in years and years and years. And I was crazy excited they had it, and then they're moving to a new location.
They just pulled the rug out from underneath you. They got you all built up, and then just came and smashed you back down.
My life was over. Bigfoot. Chris has to call from work, so he's not able to stream from an actual camera. So he's streaming from his phone, which is the image quality is pretty crummy. So plus he's probably driving and going to get us all killed, or at least on the news.
He's the mighty Chris.
There are no felonies being committed right now.
It's just sitting off to the side. It's not like he's watching it. It's cool, guys. Right, Chris?
Right.
Okay.
He does have a pretty rockin' goatee though, which everybody needs to take in. So
I'm gonna do the Shindo thing and hide in the background for a year.
Right, with no lights on. I was convinced when we went to
I'll let people see my
face. I was like 100% sure that when Shindo showed up, he was just gonna walk into the apartment and turn all the lights off.
I mean, I'm just saying I need some of those MySpace angles, especially without the mustache. The mustache distracted from a lot of things, and I don't like everything going on here.
I'm getting messages right now.
Oh shit! What do we do now?
We do nothing bad. It's all good.
Well, I gotta failed to play video because I have a phone from 1997, so I'm good. I'll have to worry about it.
It's good. I didn't. This price is still sitting. I expected him to yell at me.
That's okay. Okay, well, let's get Bryson to yell at us before we take off. Your rhubarb is bad, and you should feel bad.
It is bad. I can't correct you because it's bad. I mean, unless you really want to vape like dandelion stems and hot pain. No, Bryson, I won't. If you're watching this, I will not shave next week or ever.
Can we throw a couple weird flavors out there for him? Anybody got weird flavor requests? I want balsamic vinegar.
Like 2-3 minutes before, if anybody has any questions about something I might have skipped or missed, we're going to be doing desserts, tobaccos, and the weird fuckery stuff at the next week's show. So florals and all that other fun stuff. Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job covering just about everything. Right?
I'm going to vote for Copple Shaving next week. Will be the vaping show that doesn't have any facial hair, which will make us unique.
It's never going to happen. Never.
Clean shaven for 2019. Let's do this.
I love you guys, but it's just I can't do it.
Okay, well, we will catch you next week, assuming that we aren't going to get yelled at now.
Bryson says he's going to beat us with a rhubarb stock. And I'd just like you to know, Bryson, at the very end of the show, that if you want to beat me with rhubarb stock, we're going to have to get together and talk hourly rates because I charge a hefty fee for that kind of thing.
For getting beaten or for beating people with a rhubarb stick? Because like,
I mean, really either. Like, I'm still fulfilling the whole fantasy thing, right? So like, I'm going to get paid either way. Baby's got to eat, Bryson. Baby's got to eat. With that being said, all of you have a wonderful week. I will see you guys next week, and we'll cover the rest of Flavorah. And then, yeah, that's gonna be it. It's never gonna happen, guys. You don't have enough money, Jeff. It's never gonna happen. Won't occur. Try all you might. It's impossible. Love you all. See you next week, fuckers.